Hello and welcome to Off the Shelf Reviews.
I really love this film. Would you like to know more?
And I'm Gary, and today we're going to review and discuss Starship Troopers, which released in 1997. Based on the book by Robert A. Heinlein, with a screenplay by Edward Neumeier, and directed by Paul Verhoeven. Iain, why don't you give us the synopsis?
Well, the story follows Casper Van Dien's character, Johnny Rico. He's just finished school and has decided that he wants to try for citizenship, which means actually signing up with the mobile infantry and serving in the government's army. But an asteroid has just wiped out his hometown of Buenos Aires, and he's realized that him and his friends are going to be sent off to the planet Clendathu to take on the arachnids. What will be left, and will Johnny be changed by the end?
Come on, you hate! You want to live forever?
So this was originally titled Bug Hunt at Outpost 7.
Yeah.
This was a project that was started in the early 90s, but they couldn't really sell this script or this title to any studio that was interested until eventually they discovered that it had some very similar connections to Starship Troopers. They were like, oh, okay, let's read that. And Paul Verhoeven was like 2 chapters in. He was like, now I'm bored of that. Hey, yeah, Neumeier, what is it? What else happens in it?
Yeah,
Okay.
give me the short points.
Yeah, okay. Can we retitle our movie? Nobody has the rights. Excellent. Hey, studios, how about Starship Troopers? You want to buy that? And they did.
Yeah.
Sony was going through a rough patch with its management at the time.
Yeah.
And so, literally, Verhoeven and his team were literally uninterrupted by producers or business people coming in to oversee the movie because they were too busy shuffling around who was running the show.
Yeah.
And so, by the time the film had a rough cut put together, somebody at Sony went, hey, what are we doing over there? Oh, it's nearly done. Well, it's all right, carry on.
Yeah, put it out, yeah.
And then Starship Troopers released in 1997. And after a week of moderate success, the critics tore into this film something rotten, and it died a horrible death in America. However, in the UK, the film, I think it was much widely celebrated, much more than it was in America, and that may be because of some satirical commentary on the American systems at the time may have left a few people feeling attacked. And they may not have even known why when they watched this film, because apparently sometimes subtlety can hit you in the face like a sledgehammer, and you still might not get it.
Yeah.
But this film has become an absolute classic. It's gone down now in history as one of the greats. It's still widely remembered and is, if not one of the most quotable films of all time.
Man, for me, I remember it was late 98, maybe late 99. Somebody said to me, like, you need to watch Starship Troopers. And I was like, okay. And so, obviously, it came out in the cinema. I wasn't at that age to go and watch it. I hadn't really known about it. The internet wasn't around then.
Interestingly, it was a 15 when it came out in the UK, but in America, it got the R rating. So a lot of people didn't really get to go and see it, or basically maybe the intended audience was kids that would go and see this movie. However, Mr. Bean was also in the cinemas at the same time, and Mr. Bean did exceptionally well. So there is a theory out there that loads of kids went and brought Mr. Bean tickets and then went and watched Starship Troopers. So all the money went to Bean, but all the credit would go to Troopers.
Yeah, but for me, I watched it on VHS, and I remember a friend at the time said, you got to watch this sequence. And I remember, it's like yesterday, I know exactly what sequence it is. You know, it's the Whiskey Outpost sequence, and there's the 2 guys on the upper level, and they're shooting down into the arachnids, and one of the flyers comes down, and it takes the guy's head off, like decapitates him. And I was blown a fucking way, because I'd been following Paul Verhoeven ever since I'd watched RoboCop as a fucking child. You know, I'd sat through Predator and Terminator and Aliens and all these other great movies, and then all of a sudden I'm seeing this action sequence which blew my mind, because at the time I didn't realize they were computer generated bugs. You know, I thought, wow, that's a hell of a practical effect that you got it to fly down and take the guy's head off. So then I went back and watched it. At the time, Denise Richards as well. For me, when I got to see Starship Troopers, she'd just done The World Is Not Enough as Dr. Christmas. And she'd also been in Wild Things as well. And so she was getting the spotlight thrust upon her. She's very beautiful, very attractive, very endowed, I suppose you could say. And people were like, yeah, she's in Starship Troopers. So I was like, tick. You know? I mean, the whole lineup as well. Casper Van Dien, friggin' Dina Meyer, Michael fucking Ironside. Like, it wouldn't be until a few years later that every time I see Michael Ironside's name on it, I'm like, done. That's going to be good.
Yeah. Not to be outdone by Clancy Brown.
Oh, yeah.
Jake Busey.
Busey.
And you've even got Dean Norris, who plays this commanding officer for
Yeah.
a sequence as well. I'm like, there are so many. You've got Amy Smart.
Amy Smart turns
well.
up at one point. I mean, I didn't even know who Doogie Howser was. I still don't. I'm 42. I don't know who Doogie Howser was. But Neil Patrick Harris, I'm like, okay, he looks like a smart actor, and then he'd go off and do all these other things. But man, I tell you right now, I fucking love this movie. I got no negatives for it. So, like, I don't know what the fuck we're going to do other than praise this movie for.
Well, I'm just going
40
to
minutes.
start by saying I thought it was an odd choice, considering how colourful and bombastic this film is.
Yeah.
The opening title
I love
is a
it.
simple black background, white text. I was like, the simplicity.
I think it really works out because, like, I didn't even realize this was based on a book until we were getting ready to do the review. So then when I read it, I was like, okay, Wikipedia, where is the book? Let me read the plot. And as I was reading the plot, the movie was starting in the background for me, and I looked up and it just came up with that small title, and I thought, you know what? It's just like the book. Like, when you look at the front cover of Starship Troopers, it doesn't hit you in the face. There's not some great imagery all over it to make you go, ooh, I need
Basil
to watch that.
Podoros' soundtrack as you open the book. I mean, that would be amazing.
yeah. But you know how some sci-fi books, you look at the front covers for like Dune, you know, or some of these fantasy epics that we read with thieves and barbarians all over it. It grabs you before you've even opened it. For Starship Troopers, you're like, is that sci-fi? Is it set in space? Because it kind of almost feels like it's just about a soldier. But just the way as well, like the opening for this movie is just so good because you'll come back to it, but it's going to flash back, and so you get them coming down onto the planet. It's an ugly planet, a bug planet, a bug, and then the thing comes around the corner, and the guy's like, ah, and you're like, Jesus Christ, I've only just started the movie.
Yeah, you've got this unknown Johnny Rico screaming at the camera, going, "We're gonna go! Everybody get out of here!" And gunshots going off. We're seeing this bug through the lens of the cameraman. We're like, what? And then he gets taken out. He's screaming. The camera cuts to static, and it's 1 year earlier.
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, the good bits don't come for another hour now, do they? But
Yeah, but
it's actually because every time I go to rewatch this film, I'm like, it's great, and then it cuts to them in high school, and I'm like,
really.
all the teen angsty drama stuff of I fancy you, but I fancy you, so I'm just going to not be with you. But even though I'll get with you later, I fancy you. No, you don't want me. Oh no, it is awful.
But it's not,
because this cast of characters are all beautiful people.
Yeah.
And that's part of the joke of Verhoeven's kind of joke on this fascist state, is that they are all these beautiful people. They've got the shiniest equipment, the biggest guns, the fanciest of spaceships, but all they're good for is killing bugs. And even at the school, see, now this film is so well layered that you can watch it sort of as on a superficial level of just pretty people go to war to fight bugs, and it's gory. Sold.
Yeah.
But when you go into the layers, like even the school, like there's the propaganda news commercials, there's the military symbols on the school walls, on their books. And Radchek, their teacher, is just like, the only thing you really need to understand is violence. That is the policy that wins all arguments. He basically says, the violence is the supreme authority, and that's what you need to get behind.
Yeah.
And it's kind of an inverted character arc for Johnny Rico, who at the very beginning, Radchek questions him, and Rico's like, I don't actually know.
No.
He's formulating, he's thinking about the differences to the way things are. But the course of the film will strip all of that from him and turn him into an automatron, just a good soldier boy that will follow orders.
Well, True, but at the same time, going back slightly, I mean, 1997, we were being inundated with a lot of high school American TV shows, which had a lot of 20-year-old pretty people.
Saved by the Bell, ring a bell.
Saved by the Bell, Dawson's Creek, One Tree Hill, Sweet Valley High. I could fucking go on for ages of all these different...
But this feels like it's satirizing and parodying and emulating all of that.
It was, because, like you said, in this beautiful state that they live in, you know, where we actually don't see any bad things happen to anybody.
We do, because we do cut to the federal network going, hey, we found this prisoner, we tried him today, and we're going to execute him tonight.
Yeah.
Tune in to watch it live. And that guy's face, he's looking up like, I mean, it doesn't look like the face of a stone cold killer. Like,
well, we don't know. We don't know. He's there.
I'd like to know more.
But, yeah. But I love those little FedNet moments, and it's not because it's part of the political governmental propaganda that they're trying to sell with this movie. I love those bits because it reminds me of all the stuff that they did in RoboCop.
Yeah, it's just taken to the next level
It's
here.
just taking that to the next level. And what I love is trying to compare Starship Troopers to something like RoboCop, where RoboCop is just like, look, you know, we live in this kind of world in which the government really doesn't have control. It's all these corporations and we're buying people. Instead, we've got in Starship Troopers where it's just like, nope, the government controls everything. And that's in a way why we're so happy. There isn't any major real conflicts. People have pretty much everything they want. We don't know what Johnny Rico's mum and dad do for a living, but what we do know is that he's got money and he's got a big house and they're wanting to protect him from going out and, from what his dad says, ruining his life. But at the same time, the government and their army has protected them all this time. So ruining his life is one thing, but I sit there and I go, okay, mum and dad, why have you protected Johnny so long? Because like you said, when he sat in the classroom, he's like, I don't know what I'm doing. And as the movie goes on, he'll just get so much experience of all this other stuff going on that Casper Van Dien for me is not the greatest actor.
I agree.
You know, but he does very well with the characters that he is given. I've always kind of liked his character in Sleepy Hollow.
What character?
There isn't one, but when you're going up against somebody like Johnny Depp, who has all of the best lines, and Christina Ricci, he makes his character last to be this rival to Johnny Depp. Now, in this one, Casper Van Dien is the main guy, and so he does need a rival, but we need to build up to that. So he's got the good girlfriend with Denise Richards. He's got the beautiful Dina Meyer, who kind of just wants to throw herself at him as well.
I mean, I really like Casper Van Dien. I watch his Twitch streams of him playing the Starship Troopers game.
Oh, nice.
And he loves Johnny Rico. He loves Starship Troopers. He loves that he is a walking meme and that everybody just calls him Johnny Rico in real life.
Yeah.
It's just, he's encapsulated it.
Yeah, he's
so much
embraced
so.
it.
And it was perfect casting to get him in that role because he does have that really good looking square jaw.
He does,
you know, he has that leading man look. But and I will say, I've struggled to appreciate his acting craft in other stuff. But I think like this role was made for him. He is perfect in it. And I do feel like his acting is one note in every scene he's in, but it's fine because he gets that note across. And I think his acting is elevated by all of the outstanding talent around him. Every scene he's in with a better actor makes Casper Van Dien a better actor.
Yeah.
And so it kind of balances out. And because there's so much stuff going on in the film, it's not something you actually pay too much attention to.
No, because the pace just keeps going. You know, we're finishing high school. We're going to prom. You know, we've got the big game to go through as well. We've got Doogie Howser, Neil Patrick Harris kind of showing off, but not going too in depth with it. That in this world you do have psychics or empaths, people who can just kind of read minds or do certain things.
Can't do human yet.
Yeah, and I love that where maybe that was Paul Verhoeven who didn't fully understand how futuristic he wanted to. He kind of wanted to keep it grounded slightly in reality a little bit. I mean, you've got the whole sequence where they go into the classroom when they get that bug and they're trying to,
the autopsy
do
scene.
the autopsy
It's great.
sequence. And Casper Van Dien, Johnny's there with Carmen, and he's just like, look, here's the heart, here's the liver, here's this. And then she just pukes her guts up. And I kind of...
Nerves of steel, eh?
Yeah, well, I kind of like that because between the three of them, there's a conflict going on.
Yeah.
You know, Johnny's aware of it, but he's really just like, nah. He's blinded by love for Carmen, Denise Richards' character.
So much so that he will sign up to
Yeah.
the military to follow her.
But that's the thing, like, that's young love. She wants a career. We won't know that until the movie starts to go on, but she's incredibly talented. I think, you know, like what you said with Casper Van Dien, Denise Richards was made for this character.
Yeah.
You know, they could have easily just made her the dumb, you know, bimbo girlfriend, but they're like, look, no, we want you to become a really good pilot. We want you to fly a starship. We want you to be this strong female character. And I don't think a lot of people really pick up on that. And the same for Dina Meyer.
No, I think a lot of people just actually hate Denise Richards' character because they love Dizzy so much. And I honestly feel like Carmen in this film is there just to make you like Dizzy even more.
I like Dizzy,
Everything
but I
Carmen
kind of
does
like Carmen.
is just frustrating and annoying. You're just like, oh, like...
But I think that's because she is just so talented. But I also like the way that Paul Verhoeven gives Denise Richards enough.
Yes, I love her excitement at wanting to be a pilot.
Yes.
It's like where she races Amy Smart to get to the little shuttle to drive there.
Man,
and
I love that bit.
I know, and it's the raw passion and excitement of flying, and then just seeing all the miniature work. Is there like you've got the CGI shuttle flying around this miniature craft, and I'm like, I just get excited every time I see it because we just don't see this art form anymore.
No, you don't.
Of seeing the miniature spaceships in all that detail, and it is it's so good.
She comes up and she goes, I'm happy because I get to fly that today, and then it cuts to the ship. I'm like, man, you like you said, you really don't get that passion anymore to have your cut to what you're seeing, so that as the audience you go, whoa.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like Star Trek, you know, when they get to see the Enterprise for the first time and it takes 12 minutes to like...
yeah, with music playing, yeah.
But it just captures that in a moment and we get it and we relate on that level.
Yeah.
5 meters from object. 3 meters from object.
On top of that, Johnny's gone back to his family, and they're not too happy with him signing up. His dad's giving him grief. His mum's upset as well, but she's kind of supportive. And in a way, this kind of plays back into the book. Now, I've never, like I said, I only wikied the book. I didn't actually read it. But in the book, the same thing really happens. His dad and Johnny conflict because of dad's views of how he's grown up in this governmental world, and Johnny actually he loves his dad, but he wants to go off and learn this for himself. And unfortunately, in the movie, both mum and dad die, but in the book, dad actually stays with Johnny and ends up joining up in Johnny's squad, which I'm like, oh man, you could have made like a whole series of Johnny and his dad going around. But when Johnny Rico gets to the training camp, and he stood there, and you've got Jake Busey, Ace stood next to him, and Clancy Brown stood there as drill sergeant. Now, I had, like, up to this point, I hadn't seen much of what Clancy Brown had done other than Highlander. But my God, does he fucking own this role in this movie?
Oh, hell yeah. Medic! I love how he just breaks that guy's arm. He's just like, anybody think they can fight me? Crunch. And it's just the little details, like where you see them when they're in the mess hall and they're queuing up, and he's got this giant contraption on his arm with this blue liquid floating around, and I'm like, don't know what that is, don't know how it works, but it looks cool. And,
it looks cool.
And it's not even like no one brings attention to it. It's just there.
I remember when the film first came out, it was such a big talking point of the shower sequence.
Yeah.
You know, it was the first time that like you'd had so many actors in a sequence, all naked, all showing nudity.
Yeah.
And then finding out that actually Paul Verhoeven himself had stripped off nude to be able to direct the sequence so that the other actors and actresses didn't feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, it was apparently Dina Meyer who dared him.
Yeah,
because
yeah.
like no one was taking their clothes off, and she was like, "Well, you do it and make us feel more comfortable." So
He did.
he did, and so did the cinematographer.
Yeah.
And they got everyone else off the set so they could shoot it, and they just shot it.
And at the time when I was younger, I didn't really get it. I was just like, you know, for me and some other people, it was like, oh, it's a bit weird. Why would the director do that? Oh, we didn't understand it.
It says a lot about the mentality of these people that they do not see anybody in this shower as a sexual being.
No.
They're just another soldier.
They're just soldiers.
Like the idea of sex or like romance is just gone from all of them at this point.
Yeah.
Although one of them is even there serving to become a citizen so that she can get the paperwork to have children
to have
later.
babies. And I love this shower sequence because you just start to find out little things of them. And like you said, that woman wants to have babies. That person wants to go to Harvard, but his family can't afford it. So he's hoping that
It cost him an arm and a leg.
the Federation are going to pay for it. You know, it's just little things to make you go, right. I get that they're living in this universe in which the government controls everything, but the government controls everything for a reason. And like the lady who you know wants to have babies, maybe there's a population control, so you need to have a license to be able to have children so that they can keep on top of the population. That's not bad. That's actually a really good thing because you keep an eye on your supplies. The other guy who wants to be a news reporter. You know, it's easier for him to serve a little while and get a bit of a background so he can walk into his next job and go, yeah, I served. I'm a citizen. I've always really wanted to know, you know, what the biggest difference is between a civilian and a citizen. You know, what it is a benefit, because we don't really...
Citizen gets to vote on everything.
Them
Civilians don't have a voice.
then you've really got not much of a choice. Sign up and serve, or you don't. It's not like civilians are, you know, ostracized and wiped out and taken out, or because they wouldn't be there. It's actually a choice. You can either serve or you don't. And all these people there in the shower getting ready. Oh yeah, Dizzy, why'd he sign up? Is it for a girl? Is it you? And Dizzy's just like, meh, maybe. And like, I'm going on a limb here. I know I'm putting my head on the chopping block for this one, but I actually prefer all of this boot camp stuff in this movie over Full Metal Jacket. And I know that's
Is it because of female nudity?
no, it's because in this, like when I first watched it, I got the whole mentality of the Vietnam kind of attitude behind Starship Troopers. You know, like you said, the government is convincing these soldiers to sign up and go up against an enemy that they have literally no experience against. Mm-hmm. But where Full Metal Jacket fully focuses on the bullying aspect and the hatred and anger that can come about between a group of people trying to work together. In Starship Troopers, it's not so much there. You know, you've got that big dumb guy who works on the farm, but when he gets his head blown off, the entire squad is in shock.
Yeah.
Because for them, it's the first time they've ever seen anybody die.
Yeah.
Whenever something goes wrong, it's always you, Breckenridge.
It must be because you're big and dumb.
Damn right!
Yeah, and it was an accident.
Yeah.
But Johnny Rico is the one who's going to be taking 10 lashes.
Well, he didn't understand how to fix a Mark 10 helmet and why you were taking off in a live fire exercise.
Here, bite down on this. It'll help, son. Trust me, I know.
Trust me, I know.
Well, shit, Zim, what did you do?
Exactly, I love that bit. Zim's just like, he's been hard on them all the time, but he's like, look, I've been there.
Yeah.
I know, this will help.
Yeah. Yeah. But that's it for Rico. He's like, look, I got somebody killed.
Yeah.
I'm not cut out for this. Oh, and on top of that, Carmen's just dumped me as well. So,
Yeah.
like, you know, I'm going home to
I'm
my
going home to my
parents.
parents.
And as he takes that walk down Washout Lane, that's when we cut back to Carmen Ibanez as she's piloting, and all of a sudden there's a weird anomaly, and there's an asteroid flying right past the ship, and she has to do some evasive maneuvers to avoid it.
Yeah.
But the communications relay gets taken out and explodes.
If they hadn't dodged that, they'd have been absolutely annihilated by that giant rock.
Yeah.
It was not being stopped.
Yep. And then eventually we do cut to a federal network broadcast as if all the soldiers are running around, all the troopers are running around. And it's basically the FedNet just going, hey, the bugs just threw a rock at us. and it wiped out Buenos Aires.
Yeah.
So we're going to war now.
But I love the fact that also you've got Johnny Rico. He has his last message with his parents.
Yeah.
And his parents are like, "Oh, it's dark. It seems like rain." And so something has literally just come and absolutely smashed it. We don't know until it's obviously reported. But he got that last message. You know, it's something else for the Casper Van Dien, you know, Johnny Rico character that he wants to get payback.
Yes.
I'm from Buenos Aires and I say kill them all!
Right? I mean, but that is the mentality of the film now. It's like, oh, we now have a common enemy to hate.
Yeah.
You know, we don't just want to fight them. We now hate them for what they've done, and it's payback time. And so everyone's rallied now against a common enemy. And yeah, this is where I'm going to go into the whole tinfoil hat kind of thing. Like it being a false flag operation and how it's practically impossible for the bugs to have thrown a rock. Especially as the film at the beginning goes, here's where the alien planet is and here's where Earth is.
Yeah.
And it's trillions of light years away.
Right.
So that asteroid need to have been sent billions of years ago in order for it to get where it's come from to Earth. On top of that, the mathematical equations that would have to be done cannot even be computed right now.
So what you're saying is if you take science that you're basing in reality and place it into a sci-fi movie, it doesn't make sense? Shock! Like, you're telling me warp travel doesn't work?
Well, in Star Trek, for instance, yes, it does. But I'm not. I'm also telling you right now, these bugs don't show warp-capable technology.
No, they don't.
They don't show any kind of technology.
The bugs can knock out a rock from their asteroid ring by using the plasma that they fire out the giant plasma.
And
now,
we also later in the film get to see how fast that travels.
And that travels pretty fast. It can take out a starship.
Yeah, in orbit.
It can take out
not across the other side of the galaxy.
No. But it can knock a rock out of position and send it.
Yes.
Now that one asteroid, from what we know from the movie, is the first time the bugs have hit Earth with a rock. We don't know
I'm still going to say the bugs have still never hit Earth with a rock.
You can say that, but then at the same time, I could counter it and say, why would we want to go to their planets?
There's nothing there.
There's nothing there.
Yes, I know. It's stupid. That is this film again satirizing the military. Go, we want that rock. Yeah, that's our rock.
No. but it makes more sense that we're going after that rock because the arachnids are such a threat. They have started to spread out. Now, going outside of the film with comic books and stories that the Starship Troopers universe has created, we do have information that the bugs have been trying to spore other planets with arachnids. Now, we're not entirely sure how the brain bugs work or how the little ones work or how you get the flying mutations. We do know that you do know from the comic books that the arachnids themselves can breed between themselves and make more and then have themselves fired into space to spore other planets. This film doesn't actually go into that. Now, I do kind of agree partially with the government is controlling kind of the entire population to do what they want. But at the same time, part of me is also kind of like, yes, well, that's the world that they live in. And we don't understand, or we don't know actually, how much more of the universe, the human race, has actually, populated or taken over. I mean, we hear of Zegama Beach, but we never see it.
Don't know where it is.
We don't even know. Is it just a beach, or is it a planet that's called Zegama Beach because it's an entire planet? We don't know. So a lot of the times when people come up with these theories about Starship Troopers, I'm like, you're grasping. It's a good grasp, but you are grasping.
I don't think it's a grasp at all. I think the clues are all little dotted around the film to
yeah, right. So you're taking a little bit from over there, and a little bit from over there, and a little bit from over there, and then you're putting the film is given you.
Yes, because that is how well layered and nuanced this film is. It is subtle and it is totally in your face obvious.
Absolutely no point for the Federation to go anywhere near the arachnids.
No, because they're on the other side of the galaxy.
They were considered a threat.
they made them a threat by going, you know what, let's put some Mormons over there on that planet next to the bugs and see what happens. Oh, the bugs killed everyone.
The government,
bad bugs.
The government did not put the Mormons there. The Mormons went there by themselves. They did. They decided to land and put a colony on that planet to prove to the government that the arachnids weren't hostile. Those Mormons did it to themselves, and they sent Rajchek to the planet to convince them to leave because he's the most experienced person who'd had a run-in with the arachnids. He actually saved one person from that place and took him to Whiskey Outpost. And I know this because I own the comic.
Well, I'm just talking about the film.
Well, you can talk about the
just
film.
talking about the
but
film.
If you only have the evidence from the film and I have more evidence that's been brought on from the film...
You just feel like you've been indoctrinated in. Like,
no, I have not.
You're defending this fascist regime.
What I understand is that the arachnids are a threat, and they would continue to be a threat as they continue to try to spoil the rest of the universe. They just happened to come across a species that was going to fight back.
They were looking for a fight. So much so that because we have the technology to carpet bomb the crap out of these bug planets, but like, no. Let's send millions to their deaths needlessly. Yeah, you know why? Because we can drum up more support back home to get involved in the good fight.
Now, the point of this plot as well, this plot point where they decide to drop ship the troopers down, is all a look back at the Vietnam War.
Yeah.
Which, funnily enough, Starship Troopers was written in 1956, was actually a couple of years before the Vietnam War, but actually highlighted the fact that the American army were all ready to rush in and just take on any forces they want, but they had no experience when you have an enemy who has, you know, used their terrain a lot more than you have. And so at the same time, yes, the government send them all in, but then they realize they've made a massive, huge mistake.
Someone made a mistake.
That's it. We're empty, man.
Someone made a big goddamn mistake.
You know, they drop ship all these troopers in, all these fresh-faced, no experienced troopers, and send them up against thousands of arachnids, and these arachnids are just... This is my point when I say, look, the government actually didn't know what the hell they... It's great.
They did. Because Carl even admits it. He's like, yeah, I've sent you all to your deaths, but, you know, I needed to see what happened.
Yeah, but
what?
But he only admits that later on when he's had the experience, after we've seen him in adverts and he's been experimenting on arachnids and he's telling us how to kill them. They didn't know. They didn't. They thought that they could go down and shoot the arachnids easy. But when you go,
this is where they contradict themselves and go, yes, the bugs, they're brainless, they're stupid, they're just stupid. Bugs, but they're also smart enough to launch asteroids from their planet to ours.
Yeah.
So what is it?
It's both. Dude, it's both. There's that sequence in the movie where you have that man and woman arguing, don't you? And he's like, quite frankly, a bug that thinks I find that repulsive and offensive. That's literally what they've got.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. They contradict themselves.
That's the point. Straight. You've got that guy. He is literally a great poster boy for humanity as we see it now in 2024.
He is everyone being offended for somebody else's sake on the internet. That is him.
He is, but the woman
He's ahead of his time.
But the woman opposite him is literally saying to him, "Look, I have a theory that this could be a possibility because of what we see through bugs." And he goes, "No, that can't ever happen." And it literally does. Yeah. So it shows how stupid these people literally are. Because you've got people going, I don't think we should drop 1 million people at night into hostile alien territory. And you've got the guy running the government or army going, well, I think we should. And then everybody gets wiped out. And then that guy has to step down because he goes, yeah, I might have made a mistake. This whole attack on Clendathu, the bug's home planet as well. It's such a great sequence. This drop ship sequence, I think. Yeah, it's
so good. And I'm going to say it's Basil Podoros' soundtrack, like the music swelling up here, all of that military excitement. Yeah. We see the ships coming in, the drop ships coming out,
the plasma going up, taking them out.
We got the drill sergeant telling them, "Remember your training, and you will make it back alive."
There's that point where the drop ship lands and the door is in front of the camera, and then the door opens and they're on the alien planet, and I'm like, that quite possibly could be one of the greatest transitions I've seen.
Yeah, and I love the shot then to the side. You see all the boots coming down the ramp.
Exactly,
all
yeah.
the flares being
All
shot
the
off in the
flares being
background.
shot up, you know.
Thousands of extras, like not digital CGI extras,
yeah.
but thousands of real life flesh and blood extras.
It's not a CGI. It's not even a CGI set either. It's a real
location.
location that they were
Yeah.
like, we need to film it. All the practical effects of the armor, the guns, the helmet, everything just looks so good.
It does.
So good.
And then here comes the gore, because this is what we saw in the opening of the movie, with soldiers being torn limb from limb, and the guy, like we said earlier, he gets his arms and his legs torn off, and well, I guess he's not going to Harvard.
No,
now.
you know, and the girl who's wanted
She
babies,
panics and runs
she
away.
having babies.
Yeah. It's great. It's epic. It is full-on spectacle.
Yeah.
And we just watch troopers get torn left and right until the retreat is sounded and everybody's running. We see the cameraman again. We see the reporter both get killed. We see Rico holding the defensive line as everyone's retreating. He's down to his underslung shotgun, and then, he's taken out.
Yeah.
And it does eventually cut to Carmen and Xander, and they're looking over the wall of dead, and she types in Rico, sees his name.
See, now that's like I said, that's another point, is when Carmen and Xander, because Xander, played by Patrick Muldoon, he was the love rival against Johnny when they were in their like last game of their season, and he was going to go be a pilot, and so was Carmen. So Johnny was a bit jealous, and now the two of them have started working together on the ship. And when they pull into that outpost, that satellite, you know, because we'd seen them first pull up and there were ships everywhere. They were getting ready to mobilize and invade and all that. And just like the movies built you up, you're like, yeah, we're going to go in there. We're going to kill them all. Yeah! And now they've been absolutely annihilated and their ship is coming in. And I just love looking at all the different ships of how much destruction has been wrought on them. Now, like you said, I am happy for people to go, I think the Arachnids are fucking innocent in Starship Troopers. And then I look at those ships and I go, that's not innocent. They've literally wiped out not only hundreds of thousands on the planet, but God knows how many crew members in all of those ships. The government
The aliens were defending their home planet they just got attacked.
The government was not prepared for how much devastation the Arachnids could actually bring to the human race. You know?
Sounds like current affairs.
Well, yeah, but it's also just that idea that the government have then the Federation have then turned around and gone, right, okay, we need to kind of rechange our plan. We need to pull back a little bit, and we need to take out the outlying planets first of Clendathu, then we take out Clendathu. Because at that point as well, they still don't know about a brain bug. You know, that's been hinted, but nobody's ever seen one. Nobody's ever survived long enough to see one. And so, like I said, yeah, Carmen's gone on board and she sees Johnny's name in the list of the dead. And she's really upset. Now, it's nice. I know a lot of people hate her character because, you dumped Johnny and we wanted him to be with you, but actually we wanted him to be with Dizzy, so we actually don't care about you. But the fact that they actually don't focus on Carmen and Xander getting together.
Yeah.
I know it's kind of slightly hinted there, but I actually like to just keep the idea that actually Carmen is going for her career.
Yeah,
you know,
she's a career-driven lady.
Yeah, a man is a kind of side project if she
Yeah.
when she
Now, there
needs it.
were deleted scenes that would have continued their romantic relationship, but test audiences rejected it. They were like, no, we don't like seeing Carmen get with Xander, so even if they are, just delete those scenes. We don't have to think about it.
And we're still pushing 2 hours anyway without those sequences.
Exactly, yeah.
You know? Johnny actually survived. He'd been rescued and he's in a Bacta tank just like in Star Wars, and he's getting his leg built up.
Now, this just goes to show like the absolute excess.
Yeah.
Like this giant tank, like he got injured in his leg.
Yeah.
Why is he submerged in it for 3 or 4 days?
To help heal it.
His leg.
Well,
why does his whole body have to be submerged in that tank for 3 days?
Well, because supposedly the arachnid bugs have a kind of enzyme in their claw mouth.
The mandibles.
And if they cut you, it won't stop bleeding. It won't heal, and it can be very open to infection, and so that's why the injured can die so quickly.
So he has to be submerged into this.
Yeah, I don't fucking know. I don't even know how it works in fucking Star Wars.
We saw all these other uninjured people outside, like clutching missing limbs. None of them are getting dragged into tanks immediately.
Yes, but at the same time, I think also a certain Rashchek might have
Been pulling favors for
Yes,
his favorite pupil.
because it turns out that Michael Ironside's character Rashchek rescued Johnny on Planet K.
That's right.
And maybe he wanted him to survive. Because why would they also count him as KIA? Why would they have him on the list? Other than they're trying to just...
To drum up the death numbers to go, look how many we lost. We need recruits now.
Yeah, or keep a secret because Rashek's Roughnecks are built for the secret missions, going out and doing certain things. So you get Ace, you get Dizzy, you get Johnny coming on board. They go through the crew. And they're just like, yeah, who's in charge? We've got our orders here. I hear your commander's a real nutbuster. And Jake Bushy gets smacked in the mouth. Yeah.
She's like, that man saved my life.
And
you
man.
Yeah, exactly. You get even a Laura Albert, one of my favorite stunt actors in the background. She Me Too's. I got saved by Rashchek.
Yeah, and we're all... Rico's Roughneck. Rashek's Roughnecks. Oh my God! Just, when he walks down, I know the kind of cyborg implant is plastic.
Yeah.
I can spot a plastic fucking cyborg.
I don't know if it's almost like a nod to Total Recall where he loses his arms.
Yeah, it is. It's brilliant.
Yeah.
But I also just like that, even though it's practical. I like the fact it's a practical. Even though I can look at it and I'm like, plastic, I don't care. I'm fucking Star Trek born. I'm like, that's a cyborg army he's got there, and he's got his rule. I've only got one rule. Everybody fights. No one quits. If you don't do your job, I'll shoot you myself. I'm like, yes, sir. Sorry, I'm trying not to get too excited. Let's go and get to the good bit.
Yeah. Because we're going back. We're going back to the fight.
Man. And like you said, you got that carpet bombing thing, but...
And we hear the bug cry in agony as it gets burnt alive.
Crying. And I get that, but it's also, like you said, it harkens back to... Vietnam
Carpet
War.
bombing,
The
napalm,
carpet bombing.
yeah.
But the enemy were underground, so you've got to send in the mobile infantry. You've got you've got to get them to check all the bug holes. The fact that they've got technology that miniaturizes nukes,
Right?
it's fucking
Just fire
sweet.
a mini nuke from your rifle. It's great.
Man, I love that soldier that gets stuck with Johnny and Dizzy at this point, where he goes mad. He just blasts this arachnid right in the face. Wow, 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 and the guncle goes on his face. He's like, not much to look at once you scrape him off your boot. And I'm like, man, I don't know what he's been through, but man, he sounds like he's got some serious fucking anger.
I wonder if this is pre or post Walking Dead, because that's Brother Gabriel from The Walking Dead.
Oh shit! Oh my God! I didn't realize because he could see.
Right? Yeah. He sees bugs real good.
He sees bugs real good. Man, this sequence as well is absolutely just brilliant, because they're looking to wipe out these bug holes on this little planet, and once they've taken one out, they get informed that they're actually dealing with another group of hostile arachnids, and so they go over to help. And you get the tanker sequence.
It's great. It bursts up out of the
God.
ground. It jettisons this. Well, it sprays this lava
fire.
at this corporal who gets her arm burnt off.
Man, I love watching. Just if you watch, you can literally watch the detail of it just
melting
down.
away the layers underneath. Yeah. And Rico jumps up onto the rocks, jumps up onto the tanker, shoots a hole in it, pops a grenade in there, dives off, and it explodes behind him in this colourful orange blood. It's amazing.
Why? Oh, why do we celebrate that bit so much and I love it, but
because it's cool and heroic.
Well, that's it. I feel like in any other film you'd go, man, that was stupid. That shouldn't have happened. But because it's Starship Troopers, because it's Johnny Rico, and because we've been on this ride,
you buy it.
You buy it. Because when he turns to Rashchek and goes, I was captain of the football team, you're like, yeah, don't you remember? He can do backflips and shit. Because they'd even done it in the training sequence at the
so
camp
it was set up,
as well.
and now it's paid off.
And it's just, so
So
good.
Rashchek's like, you always were a good student, and hey, Sergeant, climb up those rocks for a minute. That's great. Now I'm just going to shoot you.
No.
Rico, you're promoted.
Actually, Rico gets promoted at this point once the girl loses her arm. And then he gets promoted again. And I think that's really funny of the film, is that much like in any war situation, if you've got a good soldier, you can go promotion really quickly when other people are losing their lives and you've proved yourself really good.
For me, it just shows, like, in this world, like, you're all so expendable that you just move up the ranks and you die along the way.
Mate, that's
like,
the military.
Exactly.
That's the military.
Exactly. But that's
It's not just in this world.
Yeah, but it's commentating on it and highlighting it and showing it, because eventually you've got Ace and Rico looking over going, oh, I guess we're the old ones now. I'm like, you've had 2 battles.
Man, but I love how, like you said, because that's like towards the end, but it's how that's developed, because at the start Ace was like, yep, I'm going to be an officer all the way, and he gets that chance and he
blows it.
He fumbles it, he blows it. And then this next bit where Johnny, he's been promoted by Rashek, he turns to Ace and he goes, hey, you want to be my side man? And Ace is actually like, you know what, nah, I'm just here to fight. And he gives the job to Dizzy, and the two of them work together. And Rashek, before they head back to the big Whiskey Outpost moment of the movie, they have like a little kind of get together for all the Roughnecks. Here's the beer, here's the entertainment. I expect the best and I give the best. It's like, fuck yeah. Like, I don't care if my government's fucking controlling me and sending me to my death. Rashek is fucking cool,
Yeah, and he actually has some very wise words for old Rico here. It's just like, oh, I'm a sergeant now. I can't be drinking, can't be having fun. I gotta concentrate. And he's just like, Rico, never pass up a good thing.
Yeah.
And off he goes to go and dance with Diz. Diz is like, hey, what are you doing after the dance?
Yeah.
Cut to them in the tent. Like,
Cool
oh,
back.
here we go.
Because when they'd had their dance at school, she was like, why did we never get together? And he's like, let's just be friends. But once he's been dumped by Carmen and he's kind of alone, Dizzy's still the strong one to be there for him. So she's like, yeah, let's go and have sex. And like, I feel like she really loves him.
Yeah.
And the sex wasn't the biggest thing. But obviously because Johnny's feeling these feelings now, like, yeah, actually, I was stupid. I should have gone with you instead of going with Carmen. I'd been a lot more happier. Is this his... Well, no, he had sex with Carmen after their dance. So this was probably his second time of having sex in his life. But I love that. Michael Ironside pops his head in. He's like, we've got orders to shift out. Who's that with you? It's Flora, sir. Okay, you got 20 minutes. And they're both looking at each other like, yeah, we can do it. We can do it. And it's such a sweet moment building up to what comes fucking next.
It is. It absolutely is. And it is the most dramatic, most exciting action scene in the whole film.
Well, it's what sold video games for it, didn't
Absolutely. It still does.
It still does.
That's the power of this scene. But yeah, first we have them doing the walk through the canyon, and even though they're really close to the outpost, Ratchek's like, "Yeah, I'm done with this, Sergeant. You're useless. Climb up the rocks."
No, this guy's like, "I can't raise the outpost," and Ratchek's like, "It's probably because we're in this ravine, canyon.
Yeah.
Head up there further and see
but
if
he's
you can get a
already
signal."
seen that there's something up there.
Possibly, but troopers are expendable.
You're dead, or I find someone better. And he literally sends him up there to get killed. He kills him himself and then hires Rico. True to his word. But he also says, I expect you to do the same for me.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, that's foreshadowing.
Which I think is great, because it's just like, look, that guy was dead. Mm-hmm. None of us could have got up there in time, and he was literally just going to be tortured. Yeah. The enemy is actually using him as a lure to get us up there.
Yeah.
I've shot him and taken it away from him, but we know that this place crawls. Mm-hmm. It's got bugs, because supposedly this outpost we're going to, there's nobody on this planet. There's nothing on this planet. Then when they get there, like, somebody's really humped the bunk. They came up in the middle of Chow.
Yeah, all these colonists are dead. But they do discover a survivor. And this is where the film, it drops like this nugget that would be picked up for the sequel.
Yeah.
And that's like, they got into his brain and controlled him. And Ratchek's like, don't be daft. They sucked his brains out. I'm like, it's like 50s sci-fi kind of B-movie stuff. But they sell it so well. And the effect of this hollowed out head as he pulls his fingers out of his head, it's just, it's wonderful.
The actor playing the governor or whatever, who comes out of the wardrobe, I mean, He's absolutely brilliant. I loved him in Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2.
Yeah, Total Recall.
Yeah.
Great.
And he sells it so good. I love that bit where they're like, sealed up that hole, and he's like, you're all going to be heroes, you're going to be heroes. And the explosion goes off behind him. Nobody else moves except him.
Yeah.
He's absolutely freaking out. Rashek's all ready to put a bullet in him because he thinks he's an absolute
Control
coward.
yourself, General.
and then the arachnids start coming over the horizon, and like this was pre-Matrix, this was pre-Lord of the Rings, you know. Both those two movies would come out after Starship Troopers and get all the praise for all the special effects that they did, and you know, computer generated imagery, and how they've just excelled computers.
Yeah, game changers. Yeah.
But Starship Troopers, I stand by and say it did it first. When you see Michael Ironside run up on that ledge and look out, and you see all those bugs coming over, it's so absolutely flawless. It's beautiful. Each one of those bugs looks like an individual. It's moving in its own way, and you don't even get that shitty little faded line around Michael Ironside's face to say that he's not really there or composed in there. He's looking and he goes,
yeah. Yeah.
And you're like, oh shit.
Yeah, it literally feels like the sound of the ocean wave approaching. Yes. It's so good. Now, apparently it took between 18 and 34 hours to render out one frame of the action. You know, obviously 1 second is 24 of them.
Yeah.
That's how many hours you're looking at. So they couldn't even see how well it was, and they had to revolutionize and update and change the technology on how to do this many effects on screen at once. Was done on Starship Troopers. Again, Phil Tippett transitioning from his hand-modeled craft into the CGI world. It's spectacular, from the shadows, from the lighting, from the movements. They did so much research on bug movements and how they interact, and it just, this sea of arachnids coming at you is coupled with, again, Basil Podoros's music, coupled with the fact that you've got all these military dudes with these badass guns on the perimeter, just fire at will.
I think what also makes this sequence just absolutely phenomenal is the fact that, like, we understand computer generated imagery, like those live actors weren't seeing
any of this.
They were just acting with it.
A little tidbit,
right? Yeah.
Is that Paul Verhoeven would often stand where the bugs are, jumping up and down and waving a mop at them and screaming, "I'm gonna kill you! I'm gonna kill you! I'm attacking! I'm a giant bug!"
Because that made the actors.
And he'd wave the mop in their faces to get them to actually react. Accordingly.
Because honestly, I have seen this sequence like a million times, and I've watched it on the big screen, and I really look for somebody who's messing up, or something that maybe cuts, you know, maybe somebody's hand goes through something. I can barely see it. Each one of those troopers is fighting their own personal battle to stay alive and protecting everybody else. And as they start to close into the middle of the camp, you know, Dizzy's called up, you know, for a dropship to come in, and you got to bring him down on top of us. That's kind of crazy. Well, I hope you got a crazy pilot. And you're just like, you know, you're with them. You're like, we need to get them out. This place crawls. They're completely outnumbered. People are getting ripped apart. People are being pulled over the side, and limbs are being dropped all over the place. There's that one guy who makes that jump. And gets jammed in the back and gets pulled back. I feel for that guy.
Off the side. Like, oh no. And then eventually the dropship does come in, and we see Xander coming out. I'm like, okay, he's actually grabbed a weapon and he's fighting off the bugs. He's the one yelling at Tower that they're leaving. But there's also, well, another tanker bug that emerges up out of the ground. But Dizzy's ready for this. Pops a grenade. Bump, hole in one.
In his mouth. Oh, it's beautiful.
It's almost like a comical sound effect as it explodes.
Yeah.
It's just great. Like, it's the... Oh.
Yeah.
But it explodes. It's brilliant. Dizzy's like, yeah, but everyone's like, hey, behind you.
Behind you, Dizzy.
And in slow motion, she turns around, gets impaled twice over, thrown around like a rag doll.
I hate it when she's being thrown around. She's still screaming because you just know that it's just art. Like,
she collapses, like the limb of the arachnid still in her. And they pull it out, her screaming and coughing blood the whole time. They get her into the dropship, and this is where we have, like, I mean, it is kind of sweet, like, it's cheesy, but she does it so well, where she's like, look, at least I got to have you, and then dies. It's like, oh man, we really care about Dizzy, and you know we care, and you know the film wants you to care, because of the millions we've seen die.
I mean, we literally had
this is our only funeral.
That's it. We've literally had Rajchek die just before Dizzy died. You know, he got his legs chomped off as well, and he's like, Rico, you know what to do, and you're like, no. And then blam. And like I said, they fucking leave his body, but Dizzy's is the only one that we actually see a funeral of. But I like that. Like I said, Casper Van Dien, not the most amazing actor ever, but he's able to emote enough that, you know, he did love Dizzy, and he's really sad that she's dead, but maybe it's the indoctrination, maybe it's just the camaraderie of being a soldier.
He's now got nothing else. Like, he's got no family, he's got no lover, he's got no new lover. He has now only got the military and only got his vengeance that he now wants to reap upon the bugs. Yeah. So he's now, and that's what I mean about his character arc, where he's a thoughtful person to begin with, but now he's just like, come on, you apes, you want to live forever. Yeah. Like what?
Because he's become the new Razchek.
Yes, he has. They've all moved up into their new places.
There's so many of them wanted to change the universe and do something good, but you can't, not in this world. No,
because this world again establishes that at the beginning, where all the adults, like the teacher in the biology lab, it's the lady from the Golden Girls. Blind. The guy at the recruitment office. Mobile infantry made me the man I am today. Missing his arm and his legs. You know, Radchek, missing his arm. Like, all of them are injured or brutalized in some way. And it's like, well, they're not learning anything.
No, but that guy at the recruitment thing, he was happy. He was happy.
He doesn't know any better.
Well, that's it, but he was still happy. We don't know how he lost his legs and stuff. I mean, the funny thing is, in the book as well, you had other aliens that they were taking on. There were these things, you had the arachnids, and then you had these other things called skinnies, which they opted to take out from the movie because Verhoeven was just like, look, it's just too much effort trying to make a third, you know, species and explain and have the background. And actually, I maybe that's the thing, because you haven't got this fully expanded universe, it's very easy to go, oh, well, the government's bad and it's controlling everybody. But it also makes it very simplistic and easy to follow, that you don't have to. I mean, Jesus Christ, I'll take Starship Troopers over Dune any day. I mean, I like Dune, but I don't need 3 hours of somebody just sitting there talking about fucking spice. I need guns and explosions, you know?
Yep.
And this is the part at the funeral. Carl has come up, you know, I will go with that. Carl has fully gone Gestapo.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't know, like, somebody must have just looked at elite uniforms and gone, yeah, black with tall caps, that works. I'm like,
World War II Nazi propaganda and imagery is rife throughout the entire film. Like, even the FedNet logo of the eagle on the front. It's there from the beginning. And so, now it's just like, do you get it yet? Do you get it yet?
Yeah, we're controlling you, but at the same time, it's for the benefit of the species. That's what Carl even says. I'm sorry, people, but
that's what Hitler also said.
I'm going to do it for the benefit of the species. And there's a brain bug on that planet. We weren't too sure if there was. We sent you in there. We do know now there is. So guess what? You're going back in there. And sorry, but you're a soldier. You ain't got much choice.
Yeah, well, it's at this point Rico's just like, that's actually what I'm here for. Like, I get it.
Johnny's like, And like you said, when him and Ace are on the planet, they're looking at those fresh-faced people. I'm like, Jesus Christ, was he 16? That guy's dead in like 20 seconds. But luckily, you've got somebody like Ace and Johnny Rico covering your back. And as they're moving out, the Roger Young, I believe, is Carmen's ship.
Right.
It's up in orbit. They're ready to jump to hyperdrive, hyperspace, whatever. And they're hit by a plasma blast. Now, I love this sequence. I loved it more as I've gotten older, as kind of Blu-ray and 4K and all that kind of stuff has highlighted the effects.
Yeah.
And when you see the outside of the ship, that it's in half.
And you see all the decks.
You see all
you
the
can
decks.
See all the debris flying out.
You can just make out people and bits here and there. And then you've got Carmen and Xander running all the way through the ship. It's exploding around them. They're trying their best to get to the escape pod.
The captain gets taken out by the door.
Taken out. That's so... Get out of here! That's an order! Go! You're like, no, Captain! And she only had a couple of bits, but you believe our character. You're like, man, she's dead. I feel bad. And Carmen and Xander come out from their escape pod. They escape out the ship. The ship starts exploding behind them. I love they bounce that person off the view.
Oh, God,
yeah. Man, that's a great special effect. I love hearing that noise every time they escape.
Dunk.
Dunk. Like, don't worry, he's already dead.
Yeah.
You know, he didn't feel that. And they come right down knee deep into Bug City.
Yeah, yeah. And again, I do like it. Like, again, Xander straight away, straight to the back, pulls out the guns. He's
Yeah.
like, here, gives the gun to Carmen. They get surrounded by bugs. They're firing away. And this is where Rico's on the radio listening in.
You can
and,
hear them.
this bit always catches me because I love the fact that you don't see it, but you hear them screaming.
Yeah, yeah.
And then it goes to static and
Yeah.
it's dead. And, Ace is just like, I'm sorry, man, but yeah, your old girlfriend's
You know.
dead.
I love
Like,
the-
and Rico's like, yeah, I know.
I love
know.
the other guys like, Roughnecks, rescue party!
Yeah,
And it's Rico's like, no,
No.
you know she's already dead. And that just shows that Rico has learned.
Yeah.
You know, he's not letting his emotions control him, going, yeah, let's rush down there and try to rescue her. From what he's seen, from what he's experienced with the bugs, there's a very, very high chance that they've just been killed.
Yeah, yeah.
But actually, Xander and Carmen are still alive, and they have come face to face with the brain bug.
Again, amazing CGI.
Amazing.
Like, you'd never
Absolute-
think you'd
no.
hear like the
Oh.
like after Jurassic Park
Yeah.
and then Starship Troopers. Like it's from the 2000s onwards. Where we're just like, why has CGI gotten worse? And now we're in 2024. I'm like, why is CGI worse? Like, and that's why we keep calling back to practical. But then I'm like, but Starship Troopers is again that sweet sauce
Yes.
of practical effects,
Yeah.
real locations,
Yeah.
real costumes, CGI work mixed in with miniatures and matte paintings and everything else. It just makes
yeah.
everything pop because there's so many different effects and layers and
Yeah.
styles going on that when it comes together, it's seamless. And this shot of the brain bug coming in, flanked by all of the arachnids,
With
being
the little
carried by the
ones.
carpet of the little
Yeah.
ones, it's amazing to look at.
It's absolutely amazing because you can see like its whole like back kind of pouch is glistening and its
Yeah.
eyes are shining. And what makes it even more beautiful is that when it stops in front of Xander, you know, the actor Xander is looking at a practical effect, I'm assuming, you know, with all the gunk and
No,
the
he's
bit-
looking at Paul Verhoeven.
Oh, so when that stick comes out, that's
Yeah,
all
it's all
CGI.
CGI.
Man, because I thought that was real. I honestly thought it was real. Because it's just the way as well. Because I'm pretty sure they don't suck his brain out, and that's a fake body that they suck out.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
not
yeah,
CGI. But that's what I mean. It's like you've got the CGI, you've got the stick going into Xander's head, you've got Carmen watching it, and then you've got just that practical effect of him getting his brain sucked out, his cheeks going in, his eyes rolling back, and it's just
It's horrifying.
it's fucking terrifying. Because part of me is just like, look, you know, if you believe in a soul or anything, then literally, yeah, he's just literally had his soul sucked out.
Yeah.
His body is literally just an empty husk.
Now I'm like, is the brain bug just feeding, or is it actually absorbing any kind of information?
it's absorbing. I like to think it's
It
absorbing.
looks like it could be just a feeder.
It could, it
And
could
they
just
call it a
be.
brain bug. Who's to say it is or isn't a brain bug?
It's-
It's
it-
just a fat bug.
No, it controls all of the rest of them.
But we don't see it do that. All we know is that
no,
it's flanked by the other
No,
arachnids.
It does control them because it does because as Johnny and the Roughnecks are making their way through the tunnels, Johnny gets this hint that Carmen is still alive and down this other tunnel. So him, Ace, and the other dude walk down to rescue her. Now, he walks around the corner and he's holding a nuke. And he looks at the brain bug and he goes, you know what this is. Now, the arachnids don't attack.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't they rush?
It's like Aliens with Ripley and the Queen, you know?
What stopped the aliens from going after Ripley?
The flamethrower?
The Queen.
Yeah.
Because she was just like, no, I don't want you attacking
Yeah, she calls
her.
them back, yeah.
The same with the brain bug.
Yeah.
The brain bug knows that if they go to attack Johnny while he's got the bomb, he's going to set it off and it's going to get killed. So she holds the arachnids back until it can escape, and then the arachnids rush. They've just now attack, and so then the four of them, because they get Carmen back and they give her a gun and they start holding them off. And then Sugar Watkins ends up getting injured, and he's just like, get out of here, leave me with the bomb. And Rico's just like, you trying to be a hero? No, I just want to kill some bugs, sir. And I'm like, you know what? Yeah. At the end of the day, when you're just a tiny little cog in a huge, massive machine, it doesn't matter what you're actually aiming to be.
No, they've just
but
been
it is
indoctrinated. They've been told that dying for the human race is admirable and the
it
thing to
is.
do.
He
And so
saves three people.
Yeah, yeah.
He saves 3 people, and not only that, not only does he save those 3 people as they blow up the bomb and keep the arachnids back, but they've also forced the brain bug to go out another hole. So as Carmen, Ace, and Rico come out of the tunnel, the rest of the troopers have captured the bug. And it wasn't some fancy ship, and it wasn't some huge, massive gun. No. It was a drill sergeant called Zim.
Yep, Private Zim. Because we saw him earlier, like, talking to Dean Norris, like, I want to get in the fight. Dean Norris, like, not if you bump yourself back down to private.
Yeah.
And so, lo and behold, he did just that. So he could fight with his fellow man. And he is the one who caught the brain bug.
Yes.
And they're all celebrating him as a hero. But then the Fed network's like, do you want to know more?
Yes.
We've now got the brain bug and we're doing experiments on it. We've got these new weapons. We've got new dropships. And now we also have Johnny Rico, who's leading the mobile infantry to battle.
Yeah, and Captain Ibanez as well, running her ship as well.
They will fight and they will win. Probably. I mean, they're not in the next one.
Well, yeah, Johnny Rico turns up in number 3, doesn't he? I really think they fucking fumbled the fucking ball without actually fucking making real good fucking sequels after this film. This film suffered when it first came out that people didn't have the hindsight and view that they could really milk this franchise with bigger movies, bigger battles, bigger weapons. I mean, we got some cartoon series and we've got some all right games out of it, but nothing amazing, nothing to high level. You know, there's a part of me that really sits there going, what's better, Starship Troopers or Aliens? Oh man, I really like Aliens, but I really fucking like Starship Troopers. And I reckon that's kind of what happened to the same thing. It's like somebody went, nah, Aliens is better than Starship Troopers, so let's put all the money into the Alien franchise, we'll make all the games, all the comics, all the books, and we won't do anything with Starship Troopers. And yet Starship Troopers nowadays is so fucking good.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, even things that aren't Starship Troopers are Starship Troopers. Looking at you, Helldivers.
Yeah, Helldivers. And it's all from a book that came out in 1956.
Yeah, I probably should read it one day. But Iain, what were your favourite scenes from Starship Troopers, the movie?
I'm just going to make this easy. From the moment that the music starts and Starship Troopers comes up at the beginning to that point at the end where he goes, it's a private, sir, and Carl says, hey, yeah, and the FedNet goes, we will win. End of movie. Everything.
Everything in between.
Everything.
Yeah.
Just I want to just focus on one point, but I can't because I feel that diminishes every other point that I could go on film. I have a list that could go on forever, but I don't want to make this a 2-hour fucking video. At the same time, negatives. I wanted to find some. I really couldn't. Or maybe I couldn't find a negative worthy enough to go, oh, yeah, that's a negative and I need to talk about it. Yeah. No, I don't. Love the movie. It's fucking amazing.
Yeah. Like I said, my only negative is in the acting range of the main stars at times. But, like, because Paul Verhoeven is a master and maybe he knew that his actors weren't, like,
well, they were all fresh faced.
They were all fresh faced, but it was the casting that was perfect. They didn't need to necessarily give in Oscar winning performances. They just had to make those characters come alive, and they did. And it was, again, I go back to the perfect casting of the supporting cast being such a brilliant collection of character actors. Just made the lesser actors appear better by just being in their presence. So, like, all my bads have just kind of been already polyfillered in, you know? It's already good. But yeah, I the whole film is a favourite scene. Easy. This has become one of the most quotable films of all time for me. So I don't really have a list of favourite scenes, but I do have a list of favourite lines from the film. Right from the beginning, I'm doing my part. I'm doing my part too. And everybody laughs. Do you want to know more? Again, it's a tagline. It's a catchphrase for this film. It pops up all the time. It's an ugly planet. A bug planet. A planet hostile to life. Brilliant action moment as he just gets torn up by an arachnid. Brilliant. Fresh meat for the grinder, eh? That's the guy at the mobile infantry guy. He's just like, mobile infantry made me the man I am today. Like, they're little lines, but you remember them. They stick out.
I love one where it's like, everybody should have a friend like me.
Yeah, Ace. Yeah, exactly. You still got me to kick around. You take a stroll down washout lane. Medic! Put your hand on that wall.
Put your hand on that wall! Fucking...
Medic! Again! The only good bug is a dead bug! Brilliant line again. And it's the fact that it cuts from a dead dog up to him. So you're like, look at the dead dog. Feel that anger?
Yeah.
Feel that anger. Go to war with the bugs.
Yeah.
It's plays on it so well. I'm from Buenos Aires and I say...
Kill them all!
Kill 'em all! It's brilliant. Like, it's one of the most well-known lines from the film.
Going back, actually, I just thought about this. It shows how stupid these people are in this movie, is because you get that moment where the mum is watching the kids kind of stomp the cockroaches.
I think it's the teacher outside the school. Yeah,
Teacher outside
she's
school.
like,
But-
kill the bugs.
But what you would know is that you shouldn't kill cockroaches like that, because when you kill them, they release more eggs and make more cockroaches.
Oh, well, would you be happy to know that no cockroaches were harmed in the making of this film, yet they were fake cockroaches filled with, like, mayonnaise.
Ah,
so when
nice.
the kids stood on them... Lovely.
Yes.
We're going in with first wave! Means more bugs for us to kill. Remember your training and you will make it back alive. Like, all of that guy in the dropship down to Planet K is brilliant. He just gets you fired up, ready to fight. You want to jump in the movie and fight with him.
Yeah, you do.
To fight the bug, we must understand the bug.
Yes.
Brain bug? Frankly, I find the idea of a bug that thinks offensive.
I love it when she stamps his foot and says,
Yes.
shut up and listen.
Yes. That's the only moment in the film.
Yeah.
Absolutely memorable.
Are you psychic? Maybe you are.
It's great. All of the FedNet commercial cuts are brilliant. This is for you new people. I only have one rule. Everybody fights. No one quits. You don't do your job. I shoot you myself. Brilliant. And then, of course, Rico repeats a lot of Ratchek's lines later in the film as well. Come on, you apes. You want to live forever. Just trying to kill some bugs, sir. Oh, Private Sugar. He killed some bugs good. He took
did.
a budge out with a nuke. So, yeah, like, that just goes to show. I mean, that's just some of my favorites. There's so many more in the film.
Yeah.
It's just... Iain, do you recommend Starship Troopers?
I don't think I could recommend it anymore. I just feel like I'm spent. But if I had to watch this movie again, I fucking so would. We know that there are sequels that aren't really great. And we know that there's a cartoon series and games that have come out that just haven't really captured what this movie captured. This movie captures so much on so many levels that on one hand it can be just the most simplistic, easy movie to watch. On the other, it can be so multi-layered with everything in the background that you can miss multiple viewing times. You're just like, I need to just keep going back. Personally, I believe there are two types of people in the world. There are those who have watched Starship Troopers, and there are those who haven't. And those who haven't are no good to us. And those who have will be standing on the front lines when those bugs hit with a gun in hand and a grin on their face saying, bring it, bitch! Okay?
Yes. I think I most certainly will be recommending Starship Troopers with, oh, hell yeah! I'm recommending Starship Troopers. This is a must-watch. It's a legendarily good film and a personal favourite that still holds up incredibly well today. The casting for this film is perfect, and the range of quality character actors really carry the leads effortlessly from scene to scene. Casper Van Dien and Denise Richards really encapsulated their roles. They're not the best actors, but they were 110% committed and believable. Coupled with great action and effects, they sold you on their characters. The real hero for me is Phil Tippett, the special effects legend. He delivered his A-game here, from the CGI, miniatures, animatronics, map paintings, spaceships, brain bugs, explosions, the bullet damage, the lightings, the animations and movement. It's all top tier work that puts some modern movies to absolute shame. This is stellar work from an industry veteran, and it's iconic, badass and cool as hell. The music by Basil Poledouris is also on the same level, creating exciting moments with huge swells of uplifting militaristic battle themes that's just so memorable. Verhoeven is a master craftsman, setting the tone and balancing satire with sincerity naturally, with a great pace, memorable characters and dialogue, and a film that deserves to be seen again and again. It is near perfection. It's 100% a must-watch from me. The only good bug is a dead bug. Thanks for watching Off the Shelf Reviews.